Hello, welcome. I'm Trisha Lemon and I am bringing to you my dreams that I experienced during my spiritual awakening and my return to feminine consciousness. I have done several recordings and dream analysis, and you can find them on YouTube. But today I am jumping into dreams I've had a lot of experience of around weddings. And I have had several dreams around weddings and unions. So what I'd like to do today is to take you through a number of those and try and bring them all together rather than doing one at a time, but to help you gain perhaps a little bit more understanding around what the symbolism and the symbolic aspect of a wedding is. So I'm going to start with a dream which is around a wedding dress and the wearing of a diamond engagement ring. So let's take a quick look at this. What is a wedding? Well, firstly, a wedding is an internal psychic wedding we're talking about, not an external walking down the aisle wedding. So what is a psychic wedding? And it's, to me, it's the bringing together two forms of energies or two opposites that come together and they marry into a union and become one. Or you could say there could be a transcendence into a new realm or a new reality or a new level of consciousness. The dress itself is white and it's virginal, and the reason for that is because the virginal whiteness is that newness, it's that new level of consciousness that you may find yourself in. And also at the same time, if you think about the diamond and the idea of a diamond ring, which often we see as a symbolism in an everyday life marriage, the diamond is clarity, it's clearness, and through that diamond you will have uninterrupted light being able to pass through that diamond because it's clear. So all facets of light can travel through a diamond, and that's what gives it its clarity, and that's what brings the prism of light into what you would call light rather than one specific colour realm. So the diamond is very significant in terms of what a diamond actually does, but what that means to you internally at your psychic level or at your level of spirituality, is that you're shining in pure light, in a pure level of consciousness or feminine consciousness. Now, I know from my understanding there is a lot of writing on the internet. What does this mean when we have the union of what I would call the masculine and the feminine? I'm going to try and explain that, but at the same time I don't want to get too bogged down in that, because it's not helpful at all to try and say it's this and it's that and it's not this and it is that, because this is spiritual and this is more around how the energy flows. But if you can imagine that within us we do have, well, you don't even have to imagine it, because you do have two energies within you. One is masculine and one is feminine, and chances are as a human being you'll be stronger in one than the other. From my own experience and my own understanding, we are, as a human race, much stronger in the masculine energy rather than the feminine energy. The feminine energy seems to be suppressed and pushed down into our subconscious. Now, if you want to know more about that, I would suggest you just go and do a little bit further reading, because what I want to try and do is to bring what the meaning of the dream is and how you may interpret similar dreams for yourself. So let's just take a little look at what the wedding is. So the wedding is what you might call the sacred union of the masculine and the feminine, and up until this point in your life those two energies don't work together, they will work separately, however that might manifest in your life. If you ever do a little bit perhaps research about alchemy, you'll see that the masculine energy is always portrayed as this powerful sun warmth energy, and the feminine is around moon consciousness, which is around the feminine energy, which is around the cycles of the moon and the cycles of life. What it means is, from a personal aspect of how you live your life, you won't live from one level of consciousness. You will live from both of those two consciousnesses working together. So they come together in a union rather than being separate. Now let me try and give another explanation of this, or another symbolism of this. So the masculine energy is always an outward energy. It's always running and chasing and doesn't want to be caught and wants to be free, where the feminine energy wants to be contained and wants to flow and wants to be free and easy, and but at the same time, when she's too free and easy, she's got nothing containing her. Now that sounds a bit, yeah, hocus pocus, a little bit weird. But that is what's happening in our lives, and I'll try and give an explanation of that, what happens when those two energies work together rather than working apart from each other or in conflict with each other, which is what we probably find on Earth right now. Is, well, the feminine is suppressed in many ways, and the masculine's often in a conflict somewhere of some type, either with the feminine within himself or even with other masculines. But when they work together, then they come into union and they've come into peace. And that's what peace means. It means those two energies have come together and they are in peace with each other. So let me explain now another dream I had. It was another wedding dream. And I've sat and thought about this, and it intrigued me at the time. But in this dream, I'm wearing a wedding dress, but underneath the wedding dress is a kilt. Now, if you don't know what a kilt is, that's a Scottish symbolic dress. It's a kilt. And a kilt has a lot of pleats in it. So the pleats are very structured. I think if you went and looked at one on the internet, you get what I'm trying to say to you. The pleats are structured, which is the masculine energy. They're firm, they're straight, and they're sewn into the band at the top. But those pleats, although they're structured, they allow the skirt to flow. So it flows in a certain way, but it also hangs in a certain way. So it's not too floaty and it's not too structured. Sounds a bit Goldilocks-y outfit, this. So if you look at Scottish culture, you will see that it's the men who always wore the kilt. It's not women who wear the kilt. In times gone by, men did wear more flowing articles or dresses, or they didn't wear trousers, and trousers seem to be much stronger symbolism these days of masculine energy. But there was a time when, for example, the kilt would be worn by a man, and that shows that the masculine and the feminine are working together. What's the difference in this dream is, in the kilt and the checks and the plaids are black and white. And that's what led me to believe that that dream was about the masculine and the feminine working together. The flow and the structure both depict a union when both of those come together and they are in peace with each other. So perhaps go and take a look at a kilt, and maybe that will just ring a bell, and you kind of get the idea then of what it means when the masculine and the feminine come together. I mean, you can go on the internet and research it, and it's interesting, because what it does is it puts them it'll put masculine into one box and feminine into another box. But the fact is, both of them have to come together for you to be in union within yourself, to be in peace within yourself. So it's not about wearing trousers anymore, it's about wearing a kilt, I guess. But that's the dreams, and I did have a lot of dreams about weddings, and the wedding dream is about a union. It's about a union of opposites coming together, the feminine and the masculine coming together. And as I said, the kilt really is a symbolism of the structured masculine energy and the flowing feminine energy. And when they work together, they're powerful. And I must say, if you ever see, the Scottish regiments or a wedding where men are wearing the kilt. It is a very powerful piece of clothing, and it does say a lot, and interestingly it is worn by men. So take a look and see what you think of that. So that's today's dream, the dream of the wedding. It's an internal wedding, as I've said before, and not an external wedding. The external wedding, in my view, is a man and a woman coming together, and they're beginning to take that journey in union together. Somewhere along that journey, which is a very long journey, they stop being in separation, and you will then stop looking at a man to complete you, or a man will stop looking at a woman to complete him, because inside him is a feminine and inside her is a masculine. And when those two come into union within each individual, then you've got two people who are what you would call whole. And from that wholeness, those two individuals, whether they are still married or not still married, will then go into a union, or choose to go into a union with another human being in consciousness. What does that mean? It means you're not trying to complete yourself through another person. You're not trying to find that masculine energy reflected back to you from a man, or a man isn't trying to find the feminine aspect of himself through another woman. They have completed that journey internally. I think Jung calls that individuation. I call it spiritual awakening, enlightenment. There's lots of other terms for it. Anyway, there you go for today. The dreams of the wedding and the diamond and the clarity. I hope that is a little bit more clear for you. Thanks for listening. Bye.